Contra for the NES, released on February 2nd, 1988. Nothing screams the 80s and my childhood like this game. 1988 was the same year my family got the NES Power Set for Christmas, and like all kids, I had to rent most of my games, apart from birthday gifts. Contra was one of those games I frequently rented from the video store, or played at friends' houses. The two-player co-op action was a hit for kids who grew up with the over-the-top action movies from the 80s, such as Predator,
Knock, knock.
Rambo, and Aliens.
Let's rock!
Now, let's discuss the gameplay. Contra is a 2D side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, mixed with special over-the-shoulder stages. You play as Bill and Lance, not to be confused with Dutch and Rambo. You start off with a simple pea shooter, which you want to ditch quickly in favor of weapon power-ups you find in floating balloons or stationary boxes scattered throughout the stages. There are a good handful of weapon power-ups, which includes machine gun, spread shot, flamethrower, laser, and rapid fire, which speeds up the fire rate of any equipped weapon apart from the laser. There are also 2 instant use power-ups, which include bulletproof, that makes you invincible for a short period, and a flashing falcon, which clears all enemies on screen, similar to the rosary in Castlevania. This game is all about avoiding being hit at all costs, since your character dies in one hit. You normally start with only 3 lives, but using the classic Konami code, you can increase that count to 30, something most of us kids used back in the day. However, the game is well balanced even if you play without the 30 lives cheat, and can be beaten without it with just a bit of practice. Now, on to graphics and sound. One word: iconic. The sprite work is simplistic, but the art style is everything you loved about the 80s. Big guns, aliens, and macho men with no shirts on. The enemy sprites have a nice design, and each stage has its own distinct look. The sound design is top-notch, plenty of catchy stage tunes, and sound effects that stayed with me ever since I played it in 1989. This is an OST I would jam in my car guilt-free. There are 8 stages total. Let's go through each stage and give you a summary, as they are all highly memorable and well designed. The game starts in the jungle, a level clearly inspired by the film Predator. This stage introduces you to mob enemies and gun turrets abound. Also, the very memorable exploding bridges for that action movie feel. Then concludes with a staple boss of the series, a fortified wall with a glowing weak point at the center.
And you attack its weak point for massive damage.
Not very challenging, but this stage is basically a warm-up. Then on to the Base 1, which is your first taste of the over-the-shoulder shooting gallery stages. Each room traps you behind an electric fence as you find the weak points in the wall to blow up and proceed before the enemy mobs and turrets cut you down. Once you reach the end, you face off with an evil supercomputer that has multiple weak points and turrets to destroy. Once that's done, an evil eye appears above and pelts you with rings that are easy to destroy. Again, this boss is fairly easy as long as you destroy all the turrets before the eye appears. Stage 3 is the Waterfall, which is also different from the standard left-to-right scrolling stage, as you are constantly climbing up a mountain while battling enemies and avoiding boulders. Very challenging, as there are bullets and turrets from all directions, including the very sneaky scuba divers who only pop out and shoot you when you reach a certain spot on the screen. Once you reach the top, it's a battle to the death with a giant alien on top of the next base you need to enter. Avoid its arms, then shoot it in the face till it stops moving. Next stage is Base 2, which is similar to the first base, but with much more intensity. At this point, the real challenge has begun. The boss of this stage is another supercomputer with the same weak points and turrets, but this time accompanied with mob enemies who both shoot at you and float down on wings to pounce you. Once the weak points are no more, the real foe appears, and it is the Decepticon logo? I guess they took a break from battling the Transformers in order to help the Red Falcon out. Well, anyways, this menacing boss has one of the most frightening and dangerous attacks in the game. He shoots bubbles at you. That's right, bubbles. Nothing a hardened, alien battling soldier fears more than bubbles. Guess I'll die now. Anyways, you wait till the 4 phantom heads join into 2. That's your chance. Shoot it till it's dead. And God forbid if you get hit by those bubbles. The Snowfield. This is like a more challenging version of the jungle. Lots of enemy mobs shooting bullets. Hidden grenadiers that force you to watch your step. And again, the return of the scuba divers. This stage features 2 mini-bosses, which are armored bulldozers, covered in spikes, with mounted cannons on top. How lovely. There is an easy trick to defeating them, however. Just stand on the left side and rapid fire before it plows into you. The boss of this stage is a sort of spaceship that cloaks in and out, releasing smaller robots and firing shots below. This boss can be overwhelming if you lost your spread gun. So, pro tip, don't lose your spread gun. On to stage 6, the Energy Zone. This is a stage you have to take your time with, as you are not only dealing with enemy mobs, but also fire pillars erupting from broken pipes. Slow and steady wins the race here. If you make it through, you will face off with the armored giant boss. A bit difficult till you learn his tricks. Jump over the discs he throws at the ground, and then jump over him when he begins walking towards you. As always, shoot until it stops moving. Stage 7 is the hangar. You are in the home stretch. Many more traps await you, which consist of spiked arms that drop down to squish you, and also spiked walls that pop out of the ground unexpectedly. I actually liked these back in the day, as they gave me the first taste of destructible environments in a video game. And as usual, you deal with countless enemy mobs. There's also minecarts rolling through the stage, which you can use to reach higher ground. The boss in this area is similar to the wall in the jungle, except much harder. Now you have mortar guns below you shooting up and over you, as well as mobs spawning in. Don't these guys have anything better to do? And once again, you must destroy the core before you can proceed to the final stage. The Alien's Lair. This stage is straight out of the movie Aliens, which as a kid I appreciated since it was one of the best sci-fi action movies ever made. And this was the closest thing we had to it in game form at the time. You fight an impressively large alien head near the beginning of the stage. There's also these nasty mouths which spit out these strange white alien larvas from the goddamn walls.
Coming out of the goddamn walls! Look!
Again, this stage can be very difficult if you don't have the spread gun, as these enemies take a lot of damage. After blasting past these wall aliens, you start to see... facehuggers? They come from the right side of the screen, a nice foreshadowing to the boss ahead. And what an interesting boss it is. Behold, the giant alien heart, which is connected to the entire lair, complete with facehugger pods which keep spawning until you destroy them. As the heart takes more damage, it beats faster and faster, until it finally explodes. The heroes fly away as the island explodes, and you get a small congratulatory message before the credits roll. Compared to later Contra games, notably the 16-bit iterations, Contra 1 is not that hard, but it was a ton of fun to play both 1 or 2 players, and I have a lot of memories of that. In adulthood, I was finally able to track down a complete in-box copy, and it's one of the few retro games I had no problem paying top dollar for. But that's not the end. Many years later, I found out about the Famicom version of Contra 1, which featured a lot of content and graphical effects which were cut from the North American NES version. Upon hearing about these cut features, I was a bit devastated knowing that all these years I was playing an inferior version. Luckily, we now have an official way to play this version, and that's on the Contra Anniversary Collection. Let's take a quick look at that. To start off, the Japanese version has no 30 lives code. Not to mention, the game starts on the NES version's second loop difficulty, making it much more challenging by default. The Japanese version had its own special version of the cart, which allowed more graphical flourishes, such as an intro cutscene, which explains more about Bill and Lance's mission. There's also some very brief exposition scenes between the levels, as well as a map screen, which is actually pretty cool, as it shows you where exactly on the island the next stage is located. These scenes near the end of the game I find the most entertaining, as it shows Bill or Lance going full beast mode. Within the stages there are several additions. The jungle features trees that sway in the wind. Same deal with the snowfield, which features swaying trees that blow in the snowstorm, which was not present on NES. Also, the entire alien lair stage was pulsating as you would expect a living environment to. The speed of the animation gets faster and faster as you approach the heart. And then abruptly stops once the heart explodes. Very nice detail. There is also an extended ending shot of the heroes boarding the helicopter before the island explodes. While I am glad that this version is finally available to play in North America in official form, I think Konami were a bit lazy not to translate the Japanese text. I also wish this could have gotten a physical release. But who knows, it might still happen via limited run games. So, in conclusion, if you love 2D side-scrolling action games and for some odd reason have never played this timeless classic, I urge you to ASAP. Once you try it, you will definitely want to
Stick around
and try the other games in the series. Thanks for watching.